May God's peace and blessings be upon us all. The time has come for the people of God to speak to the people of God. This is God's holy word. We are on a mission to make America righteous, on a mission to make the world righteous. And with that being said, this is God's holy word. This is real pastor talk. And on tonight, I wanted to dive into our part three of The Game is Over. Part three of us realizing and a realization that all of our governments are essentially Ponzi schemes. All of our governments are essentially fake. And for that to sink in to the regular citizen, for that to sink into the regular person, I understand it is indeed a tall task. And so as a result on tonight, I would like for us to have a political conversation, or perhaps not a political conversation, because I believe that that is what has gotten us as a nation and as a people so confused, because we fight along the lines of party. We fight along the lines of Democrat, Republican, Independent, whatever you call yourself. And those are not the lines that we should be fighting upon. So let us have a Christian conversation. But in order for us to have a Christian conversation, then that would mean that we would have to consider uh, the United States of America to be a Christian country. But the rest of the world is the whole world considered to be a Christian world. So let us have a Christian conversation that will be based upon what the rights and wrongs of man are as per God. Let us have a right and wrong conversation on tonight, because I believe that man, no matter who we are, we clearly can distinguish the difference between right and wrong, whether we attempt to lie our way out of it or to twist right and wrong to fit our narrative. We still instinctively and innately know the difference between right and wrong. Let us have a race conversation, because whether we accept it or deny it, it appears as though all conversations in the world, all aspects of the world, are essentially wrapped up into this thing called race that we have grabbed by the horns to be the end all and be all. And let us have a conversation about what is common sense, what is right, and what is wrong. You know, in part one and two of The Game is Over, that all of our governments are Ponzi schemes, I made a statement that where I said, God bless America, God bless Donald Trump. And I think that that may have confused a lot of people, because they would say to themselves, you have this brother who's a minister who is saying, God bless Donald Trump. And the reason why I say God bless Donald Trump is different than the reason many people would say God bless Donald Trump. I say bless Donald Trump because it is obvious that, number one, this man is incapacitated. He is not capable of being the leader of anything. But also, number two, is that inadvertently, because I am quite positive he never meant to do this. But you see, what we fail to realize is that the ignorance and the arrogance of a Donald Trump has essentially sparked a resistance. It has sparked an awakening that is required for the time that we live in our lives right now. God bless Donald Trump because he has sparked the resistance. God bless Donald Trump because he has sparked an awakening. God bless Donald Trump because at least he has awakened almost 80 million people to realize that when someone calls you stupid, to realize that when you like people, you are blinding yourself into accepting their lies. And so the reason why I say God bless Donald Trump is because all the people that he had blinded, perhaps now these people can see the light. Now, the sad part about it is that in order for them to be awakened, in order for them to stop lying to themselves, because you see, the thing about all of these people that are eating up these lies that we have in the world today is that they are lying to other people, they're lying to us, they're lying to themselves, knowing the whole time that God knows the truth. So they were accepting and they were eating up these lies because they were so big on being a Republican. They were so big on being on the right or whichever side you're on, so big on owning the libs until you lost sight of what is truly right and wrong. You see, America has lost sight of that because now, based on party lines, you're supporting the government when before this, citizens realized that the government was not with them, the government was not for them, the government was the ops. And now we have a group of people who are siding with the government. But you see, what we must realize above all is that all this is distraction politics. This is a phrase that I had coined about a year ago, distraction politics. And the reason why this is distraction politics is because we must realize this is the art of the grift. Donald Trump is the master of grifting. So while all of these distractions are thrown up and thrown and thrust upon the people, the country is essentially being pillaged and being robbed, and you are being distracted inside of the world's biggest and greatest TV show. For us to realize that we are living in a TV show reality at this point in time, which is how you realize that all of these governments, this is all manufactured, this is all fake. The government is essentially robbing the little man and allowing the top 1 to 10% of the world to control, dominate, and remain rich. Because you see, the thing about the American citizen and the thing about people in general is that they are controlled and they are programmed by their emotions. And in order for them to finally see the truth, they had to be insulted. Their leader had to call them stupid in order for them to wake up and smell the coffee. Your leader had to call you stupid in order for you to snap back into reality and for us to leave this virtual reality life that these people have been living. I say to everyone, the resistance is now. The awakening is now. And the power is truly in the people. So let us have a conversation upon tonight. I want us to consider the American society. The American population is 330, maybe 340 million people. Let us consider that. America is 330 million people. Those 330 million people, 55 to 60 million of those people are black. Let's say 60 to 65% of those people are Latino. Let's say 20 million of those people are Asian or others. So that leaves about 180 million of those people who are considered to be white. Okay? The total population of the world is over 8 billion people. I want us to consider these things as we go through. The total population of the world is over 8 billion people. Of those 8 billion people, at least 3.5 of those 8 billion are Asian. 2 billion of those people are African. At least another 2.5 billion are Hispanic, possibly more. And less than 1 billion of the worldwide population, less than 1 billion of the worldwide population, again, less than 1 billion of the worldwide population is considered to be white. So let us put this into category. White is the major ethnicity, the major race in America. White is the minority race in the world. And yet, the rest of the world has allowed themselves to be subjugated, enslaved, robbed, pillaged, and plundered by the minority race. And I say to us from a right and wrong perspective, this should not be so. Let us consider the political. The minority race has bases on everybody else's land. America has bases all over the world. No one has bases in America. Europe and the West imposed their bases upon many other countries. They never imposed their bases upon each other. America and the West tax people to do trade with us. We make people pay to trade with us. And this is again being done by the minority race. Here in America, our wages, our average hourly wages, they have not been raised since 2008, 2009. Yet, yet, our costs increase every year. There is no tax on the rich in America. And see, what we must realize as the individual citizen is for us to not get swept up and caught up into what our political parties are saying. Because we must realize that those politicians, those millionaires and billionaires that went to that inauguration, those people represent the top 1 to 10% in our country. And it is essentially set up the same way around the world, that the majority of the money and the income that is made goes to the top 1 to 10%, and the other 90% of us are poor. The other 90% of us are struggling and scraping by. The other 90% of us are working hard every day, attempting to do the best that we can to make a living. While we have no tax on the rich in America, we have the Vanguards and the BlackRocks who own everything. We have both sides of our political system, whether they are Democrat or Republican or independent. We have both sides who are essentially selling us out. They are paid for. And the only way that this will be fixed is when the people realize that they must remove and take all of this money out of politics. And you see, that was where that opening popped up for Elon Musk to appear. But you see, the problem with Elon is that Elon is Elon, and his actions will never allow him to be accepted or never allow him to be the head of a political party. But you see, what Elon did was he brought forth a very important message and a very important thought process for us. And what I say to that is, I don't know about the American Party. That is not my concern. But what I do know is that the power is truly in the people. The people have to find a way to take back the power. And so, how do the people take back the power? The people take back the power because they need a party that is truly and essentially for the people. Because I believe that whether they are Democrat or Republican, all of your politicians, they are all bought and paid for. They are all taking money from whoever is willing to pay them, which is why you will never hear them speak truly on the issues that are affecting the people. You see, this, once again, this is a TV show. We must realize that we are involved in the biggest and the greatest TV production of 2025, perhaps the greatest TV production of the 21st century. How a president, a government, a country, and the world was placed inadvertently into a TV show and filmed all the way through. You see, this is distraction politics. These are very unserious people. And all this is the art of the grift. Fake wars, fake taxes, and fake deals. You are told that Japan will give you $500 million and they are trillions of dollars in debt. This is about half of their GDP, and they're going to just give it to America. And that makes sense to you. That makes sense to you that a country who is in debt is going to give you half of the money that they make in a year and they're in debt. That makes sense to you that someone who is almost as equally in debt as we are in the EU, Europe, that they're going to give you 700 billion, and that is about three-fourths of their GDP. But they're going to give that to America, and you believe these things because you're in a TV show. You believe these things because you are being manipulated. But above all, you believe these things because you know these things are a lie, and you still believe them because you have to believe them. So, what does that say about the human psyche? What does that say about us as a people that we are so confused that we are accepting a lie? Better yet, that we are knowingly accepting falsehoods, we are knowingly accepting lies, and we are knowingly allowing ourselves to be screwed by people that we pay, and then they turn around and get paid by many other people to screw us. And so I want us to consider this thing here. You see, the ball is going to drop at some period of time. The top 1 to 10%, they'll be okay because no matter what happens with the prices or with the cost or with employment, they can afford everything. Nothing is too high for them. But you see, what they fail to realize is what happens when the wolves, the people, what happens when the wolves are hungry? What happens when the wolves are hungry and the pups are hungry? What happens when the wolves are hungry and the only people that have anything are the rich wolves? I will leave that as a question because I want us to consider the fact that we as Americans, and the West at large, the West, we consider ourselves to be a Christian nation. I hear it so often on TV that they're talking about what good Christians we are. And yet, America, a Christian nation, is number one in terrorism. We are number one in regime change, destroying people's country, putting who we want in power to serve our interests. We are number one in espionage. America, this Christian nation, is number one enforcing and imposing our values upon everyone else. And yet we consider ourselves, America, to be a Christian nation. Whatever happened to the right and wrong way? For as I spoke again, that less than 30% of the world's population is white. And yet, the white people have the basis on all of your lands. The white people have control over all of your governments. The white people bully and threaten all governments. And from a right and wrong perspective, people, it simply should not be this way. Because I want us to contemplate this thing here. Let us talk about common sense and contemplate it from a common sense aspect. America and the West, Europe, America, the West, they have no resources. America and the West, they have no resources. America and the West, they have no gold mines. America and the West, they have no diamond mines. America and the West, they have no cocoa farms. America and the West, they have no uranium. They have no rare earth minerals. They have very little oil. And yet, even though America and the West has none of these natural resources on their own, they have none of them in their countries. How is it that the West and America, the minority, should not oppress the majority? I remember growing up when I was younger, about 20 or 30 years ago in my 20s, I used to buy jewelry and I would always look for that made in Italy stamp on my gold. You know, it just amazes me how much we don't know when we are young. Looking for the made in Italy stamp on my gold. Italy has no gold mines. Every time I bought gold with a made in Italy stamp on it, I was buying stolen goods. And I want us to contemplate that around the world. Every time you buy diamonds somewhere that's not in Africa, you're buying stolen goods. Every time you buy gold somewhere where the resources didn't come from, you're buying stolen goods. Anytime they buy uranium, they're buying stolen goods. Anytime you have cocoa and chocolate in the morning, hot chocolate and cocoa, you're drinking stolen goods. Because the world is so out of order in a nation and a side of the world that considers themselves to be Christians. Because you see, America and Europe will fight you about these false, fake Christian values. They will fight you about these false, fake Christian values that they never uphold and they never adhere to, which lets you know that they are America and the West. You are Christian in name only, because the minority should not oppress the majority. You see, in one of my videos, I thought about something that Putin said. Putin made a statement. Excuse me. And the statement Putin made was spot on. Putin said that he didn't have a problem with all of the rules that America and the West laid out until he sat back and watched you blatantly break all of the rules that you made. And after you broke the rules that you made, you attempted to justify it. So again, let us have a conversation on tonight to finish it out on race. Because even though we attempt to avoid it, race appears to be the determining factor for America and the West. Because they have this arrogance. You see, America and the West has this better than attitude because you see, It's easy to have a better than attitude when you have essentially rigged the game. You see, the World Bank, the IMF, the ICC, NATO, all of these people are controlled by America and they are controlled by the West. And what do? The ICC, they assassinate, they lock up African and Arab leaders via the ICC, and yet the European countries, America and Israel, they refuse to go along with anything the International Criminal Court says, unless it is against the Arab or the African leaders. And yet, the Arab and the African leaders, you allow this. But when it pertains to the West, they refuse to comply. Arab countries, they try to use what they call soft power, which means that when they are being attacked, one of their co-countries is being attacked, they will pay off America as opposed to going to defend their brother. African countries, they won't even say a word. African countries will allow their leaders to be assassinated by the Western America and they'll never open their mouth because they are weak. African countries, African leaders, they are soft, which is why none of them said anything when the West and France attempted to kill Captain Ibrahim Traore. They said nothing because you are weak, you are soft, and you are failing the people. The Arab countries said nothing about their neighbors being attacked because you are soft, you are weak, and you are failing your people. Russia, North Korea, and China, you see, these people, they got it right. They got it right because they realize that you provide the materials to make these people's weapons, and these very same weapons they use against you. America and the West treats the rest of the world like children. They can have a nuke, but you can't. Who would allow that? Bases in your land, never bases in America. Around the world, this is a message for the world. Who would allow that? They use their money to trade in the world. You got to use Western or American money to trade, not your own money. Who would allow that? The CFA franc in Africa. Who would allow that? America and the West tells you who your friends are. They tell you who to trade with, who to speak to. Who would allow that? They kill your leaders. Who would allow that? You allow them to use your country to launch airstrikes on your neighbors. Africa, Middle East, Asia, who would allow that? You all will allow it. The Arabs will say nothing. The Africans will say nothing. The Hispanics will say nothing. Who would allow that? You will say nothing because you are weak, you are soft, and you are failing your people. The power is in the people. The resistance is now, and the awakening is now. It is time for the people of God to stand up and take back this world. We cannot allow these evil people to continue to run this world. We cannot allow these evil people to continue to separate the people of the world as a whole because we are all God's people. And the time is now for us to wake up. The resistance is now. Let us take a look at Colossians chapter 3, verse 14 before we go. And above all these things, put on charity, which is the bond of perfectness, and let the peace of God rule in your hearts, to the which also ye are called in one body, and be ye thankful. Please like, share, and subscribe. May God bless you and keep you.